Okay, we are live now. Sorry for the brief delay, but we are here with former BTI President Charlie Arntzen, coming to us from Arizona, where he now resides. And we had to jump out of Facebook for a minute, but now we're here, and we are going to talk to Charlie about not only his time here at BTI, but also what he has been up to since he's been at Arizona State, and where he recently retired. Right, Charlie?
That's right.
You're a recent retiree.
I'm a free man now.
Charlie, tell us a little bit about kind of the work that you've done over your career, I guess, and kind of how you got started into science. We interviewed Paul Debbie earlier, who talked a little bit about some of the work you've done in your life, and he referenced some of the things you would probably talk about, but we'd love to hear it from you. What got you into science, and what are kind of some of the favorite things you've worked on in that time?
Sure. Well, I was a farm boy from Minnesota. I went off to the University of Minnesota, got a bachelor and master's in horticulture, left to Purdue University to get my PhD, and spent the first 15 to 20 years of my life studying chloroplast development, photosynthesis, trying to improve crops for better photosynthetic efficiency. While we were at this, we got involved with understanding a concept called herbicide resistance. Farmers were using herbicides, the weeds failed to die. We identified a genetic change that caused them to resist herbicides. That attracted the attention of DuPont, and I moved to DuPont and was the director of research, setting up a team, or setting up DuPont's plant molecular biology group, which has grown today into the Pioneer Hybrid Corn group. But anyway, while at DuPont, I really learned the technology of plant genetic engineering, plant molecular details of plant molecular biology. And when the opportunity came to move from DuPont, I jumped to Texas A&M University, started with them as a deputy chancellor for agriculture. In that position, I set up a new research institute in the Texas Medical Center that focused on trying to use plant and animal agriculture in developing new strategies for human health improvement. The guys up at Boyce Thompson knew what I was doing, both from DuPont and Texas A&M. And when Ralph Hardy stepped down as president, they came and suggested that I move to Ithaca and be the president, which I did. Fantastic place. I couldn't resist the opportunity to come to the BTI. It's known, and it is still known as a premier research institute for plant biology. So I was there for a number of years and loved my time in Ithaca and in the Boyce Thompson. But Arizona State University came along, offered me the chance to move and develop a new biomedical research institute here in Tempe. Again, it was one of those things that's irresistible. $16 million a year of new money and opportunity to hire new people, build new buildings, and it's going strong today. It's called the Biodesign Institute. I was the founding director, and it started out and remains as our flagship research activity at ASU.
Great. Well, talk to us a little bit about what you when you were here at BTI. You know, what did you expect coming in, and what was your time like, and was it everything you thought it would be when you inevitably left?
Well, there's two parts to that. One is my personal research and activities, and the other is more the general direction. When I came into the BTI, there was an extremely strong group in ecology, environmental biology, and a much smaller but growing interest in plant molecular biology. This was back in 1995. it was in the area when biotechnology was just expanding in every field, human health and agriculture, et cetera. And the board of directors at the time really challenged me to come in and find ways in which we could recruit new faculty members, like Greg Martin was one of the early ones that were recruited, many others, working with David Stern, who was already there at the time, and again, many others, well, not many others, there's a few others who were interested in the basics of the molecular side of plant biology. So over a 5-year period at BTI, and with the help of the board, it was really my goal, and I think it worked out very well, so sort of reshift the direction of the Institute, making it much heavier in the genetic side of research, and in the process, strengthening the financial situation of the Institute. When I came in, we were struggling, I guess I'd say. The shift in the federal government's support of research was going more and more towards genetics and biotechnology, especially in agriculture and human health. And we sort of had to get on that bandwagon, and we did. A lot of research was redirected. We recruited outstanding people, most of whom are still there, bringing in large research grants, making the BTI an even more vibrant research area than it was before. And all the time, we were doing things like modernizing the library, changing the accounting system. It was 5 years of exciting time in the Boyce Thompson Institute history. As for me personally, when I started a biomedical institute in Houston, I looked for something that I could do there that would marry my interest in plant biology with human health, and initiated a program that sounded a little bit crazy at the time, but could we use plants to biomanufacture protein drugs like vaccines? And I had just done some early stage demonstration projects when I was in Houston, moved to Boyce Thompson with bringing 3 people along with me. We set up a program in BTI on plant-made pharmaceuticals. We did 3 human clinical trials on drugs or vaccines made in tobacco plants. Did all of those while I was at the BTI. Each one was widely accepted as something exciting and a new approach to science. I've taken that from BTI. I've recruited some of my people back down here to Arizona, so it'll steal them away from BTI. But
it's all part of the business.
It's part of science. It's the way we do it. But we've been very successful in continuing this. I've sort of retired on a high note because we did the first crazy experiments on producing antibodies against Ebola in tobacco. In 2014, at the peak of this Ebola outbreak in West Africa, our therapeutic called ZMapp, it's a cocktail of monoclonal antibodies, was used to save the lives of 2 missionaries in Liberia, and then eventually used with other people. So there's very few people in my type of science who can say, we discovered or we tried a crazy idea on the lab bench, starting back with the things that we were doing at BTI, but taking a crazy idea that most people weren't accepting, validating it, proving it, and then seeing a lot of people's lives saved in the process. So for me, it has been a remarkable, wonderful period of science. I thank the BTI for allowing me to get this whole program in motion. And I cherish the time that I spent with my wonderful colleagues in the BTI, many of whom influenced me and gave me new ideas and allowed me to see how to make this work.
When you look at the science landscape, do you think we need more risk taking? Do you think that's happening, or do you think it's, maybe the state of competition for funding makes people take less risks? What do you see there?
Well, yes, I think overall, and I'll take things related to plant biology and basic human health issues. It's hard to be a risk taker these days because government grant money is tight. The peer review panels are very conservative. They don't want to fund anything unless there's a high certainty that it's going to succeed, which is sort of not the reason we do research. For that reason, when I've set up our new institute, the Biodesign Institute at ASU, we've reserved funds and we have done philanthropic fundraising to build a cache of support that we can use for exploratory research. And one reason I've done this is really the whole concept that's behind the Boyce Thompson Institute. You've got an endowment, you get philanthropic support. It allows your scientists at BTI to do creative new things. They don't have to go to NSF or USDA or NIH to do those first exploratory projects that are so very important to show that your ideas are on the right track. And BTI is just a marvelous place to do creative research, something off the beaten track, allow you to get started, and then go in and compete very successfully against other great laboratories around the country. But be successful because in the BTI, you're in a setting that you can use creativity as a starting point with this background of support that exists in the Institute.
So, Charlie, this is Giving Tuesday, National Nonprofit Day of Giving. I'm curious, having just started up a program recently at ASU, where I'm imagining that it took a fair amount of funds to do that. In terms of funding for science, are you seeing more need for individual or private philanthropy versus relying solely on government money?
Well, I think in the end of the day, we're very dependent upon government grant support to do the things we want to do. But it's very hard to depend on government support for new ideas, for something very novel, thinking outside the box. And to me, that's really what philanthropy is all about. Finding very bright people, supporting them to do new things, go against the grain, if you will. Try out ideas that are not right in the mainstream, but allow them to validate something new. And I urge all your listeners, all your followers to continue to support or begin to support the BTI as I have. And, you've got such a great institution with outstanding people. It's just a very logical place for me to say, help support that place.
Well, we thank you so much for the years you envisioned that you provided BTI, and as well as your continued philanthropic support as well for helping advance the science here at BTI. And you're certainly somebody in our quote unquote alumni community that we're really proud to have had through these doors and do work in these walls. And it's exciting to see what you were able to accomplish. And we know that you have a much deserved retirement ahead of you. And if you ever get bored, you can always come back here.
All right, I'll do that.
All right, Charlie Arntzen, former president of BTI and department head over at Arizona State University, and now retired scientist. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to talking with you again soon, Charlie.
Okay, take care. Thanks again.
All right, thank you. We will be back in a few minutes, hopping back to Facebook, where we'll be for the next 2.5 hours, and we will catch you there. BTI Live on Giving Tuesday.